I'm Sock Marionette, doing business as Bargain Counter Argument, a middle-aged lady talking about books. And this is Flip Through Friday. And today I'm going to be looking at a book that I really liked when I was younger. When I was in junior high and high school, there was a copy of this book in the local library. When I moved away, I no longer had access to it. And I was happy to find a reissue just a few years later in a bookstore in California, and that book is Flesh and Fantasy by Penny Stallings. Get her even there, with Howard Mandelbaum. And as you can see, it is the truth behind the fantasy behind the truth, and it's basically about classic studio system Hollywood. There's a Marilyn Monroe mural, and yeah. So this is the 1989 reissue, Flesh and Fantasy. Flesh, this is about the actual actors and production. Let's see if I can get that entirely in the frame. It's kind of a very large book. So you have A Star is Born, and there's a starlet arriving at Paramount Pictures. And this is actually got pictures of the stars of yesteryear when they were small children and as adults, and where necessary, it has their birth names and then their eventual names. Like Phyllis Isley became Jennifer Jones, and Judy Turner became Lana Turner, and so on. So there they are. Jane Peters becoming Carol Lombard. Douglas Fairbanks Jr. just kept his name. And then here, this is a section kind of about going into the studio system machine with a view toward becoming a star. So you have guide for new players. Don't look at the camera. Don't report late to the set. And so here's somebody getting her makeup done so that they can figure out like how big their eyebrows should be and that kind of thing. Some physical training. And the other thing they would do is they would have them pose for, let's see if we can get it down there. They would have them pose for kind of lighthearted publicity shots, racing tortoises, and hanging out just to get their names and their faces especially out there. And this is like the formal photo session. These are really cool. And then when they were extras in movies. So like this is a 1925 movie, and there's Constance Bennett and Joan Crawford as young starlets. And Charles Bronson in 1954. Gotta start somewhere. It's the thesis of this section. I'm just going to flip through. And this is about the things that they would go through to kind of make themselves more photogenic, more beautiful. Bing Crosby and his ears being pinned back. Van Johnson was in a car accident, and he had scars that were mostly touched up. These are unretouched photos, so you can see those scars before the studio system got their hands on those photos. And this is kind of these transformational, like Marilyn Monroe before and after. Of course, she has different facial expressions, so it's kind of hard to tell. But here, Marlene Dietrich, same facial expression. So there's Elvis in 1956, in 1960, and so on. This is just all the things all the sort of trends that they would inspire, like certain haircuts. And then people who kind of imitated other people, like Liza Minnelli looking like Louise Brooks. I would point out that that was for Cabaret, which was a movie in which her character, Sally Bowles, would have been imitating Louise Brooks anyway. So that's not so much Liza Minnelli as it is the character. And then here's some more unretouched, retouched photos of various stars and how they changed it. Like Claire Trevor is already quite slender, but they narrowed her waist even more. Yeah. Okay, this is about the décolletage of various starlets. I don't think we need to, come on, flip, flip, flip! I'm trying to flip past it. And I don't think we need to dwell on that, but the pages weren't cooperating. Going Hollywood. So once you make it, what does your life look like? You get fancy cars, fancy houses. This was Harold Lloyd's house, which was later owned by Aaron Spelling. Aaron and Candy Spelling, and in different environments. How to Win an Oscars, kind of talking about the different ways people got their Oscars. Be a Personal Friend of God's, because Jennifer Jones played Bernadette of Lourdes in The Song of Bernadette. Bing Crosby as a priest, so that was one way to do it. So Wear a Funny Nose, like Lee Marvin in Cat Ballou and Jose Ferrer in Cyrano. So just all the different ways people might win an Oscar. It was all very lighthearted. Love and Hisses. This is about co-stars who played romantic leads but didn't particularly like each other. Or did. This is love, because some of them hooked up. And let's see if we can get this page is turned. And Hisses. These are co-stars who just did not like each other. Kind of gets into why they didn't like each other, and you know. And Hollywood's crazy marriage tangle. This is like the whole tangle of people who were married to each other. Like you start up here with Edward Judson, and he goes to Rita Hayworth, who also goes to Orson Welles and Ali Khan. Gene Tierney, Oleg Cassini, who was the brother of Igor, who married Austin Hearst, who was married to William Randolph. Yeah, anyway. My goodness, what a mess. The awful truth. This is about, Hollywood Confidential magazine and so on, and the various headlines and how they manipulated the stars and the stars manipulated them. And the great rumors of Hollywood. Merle Oberon, Dinah Shore, and Kay Francis are of mixed ancestry. I'm not sure about Kay Francis, but Merle Oberon and Dinah Shore certainly were. And then these are about The Light That Failed, is about people who died young or retired young, didn't make it for whatever reason. Fatty Arbuckle had legal troubles and so on. So it's quite a bit. Some of them retired voluntarily, others just didn't, spun out, had health problems or whatever. And this is Imitation of Life. This is about movies that reflected the personal lives of the stars. I've had this book since 1992, so yeah, it's getting a little messed up. So yeah, basically exploiting people's personal lives for movies. And this is about stars who died, which is, of course, these days, that's most of them. But it doesn't give details about their deaths. I mean, this would be a much longer section now than it was in 1989. And then this is the fantasy section, so this is like a little more about the movies themselves. This is like special effects and musical numbers. The Incredible Shrinking Man and his giant pencil. And then this is the actors acting alongside animals, either animated or puppets. And ghosts. Actors playing double, like Haley Mills and Haley Mills in The Parent Trap. This is cross-dressing for art. These are epics. and adults playing children. And some really unfortunate stuff from the past. Oh my goodness, this is not great, but it's important to remember that, even if you don't endorse it, which hopefully nobody does these days. Okay, and the same thing with Native Americans. A lot of people playing Native Americans and other indigenous people in brown face, copper face, yellow face. Here's a little bit better about the costumes. It's going to be a long video because it's a long book with a lot going on. Love this accessories, the shoes, the gloves, the hat, the handbag. This is about fashion trends, like Marlon Brando in his t-shirt, James Dean also, and how that men started wearing t-shirts like as outerwear more after that. But I think they actually got that from like mechanics and so on who would wear that kind of thing just because it was more practical. And these are like fantastic fantasy fashions. And these are about actors who were kind of like an imitation of other actors. Like Marlene Dietrich inspired other kind of copycats, as it were. And here's like side by side, you can see like Ginger Rogers and Gene Phillips. And a lot of these people went on to have pretty good careers of their own, but some of them didn't. Gig Young actually had a really good career. It just wasn't Cary Grant levels, but he was a good actor. Both of them. Here are all of the imitators of Marilyn Monroe. Jane Mansfield and Mamie Van Doren and Cleo Moore and Barbara Nichols. I've seen her in a lot of stuff. She was kind of always a fun performer. Grace Kelly and Tippi Hedren and so on. This Pick a Star. This is about people who were originally... they originally wanted to cast somebody else in the role. Let's see if I can find one here. Like they originally wanted to cast Doris Day as Mrs. What was her name? Robinson. And Mae West in Sunset Boulevard and so on. A lot of those. And they're just kind of doing some Photoshop. It wasn't Photoshop, of course, because it was 1977, 1989, but pasting these people in so you could see what it looked like. This is about remakes. Kind of doing comparisons of various remakes. It's just a fun kind of, the text is pretty sassy and gossipy and just like fun to read. And, you know, purely coincidental, this is about movies that were based on real people, but they kind of changed the names. You know, like Citizen Kane was really about William Randolph Hearst, but they made him Citizen Kane and so on. And they're kind of telling you who the original inspiration was. And these are people who were in B movies a lot, like Beverly Garland. Oh, Beverly Garland is just awesome. I think she is no longer among us, but she was great. Oh yeah, Barbara Steele. And this is just looking at the studios. Behind the scenes, like there's Bette Davis looking at a script and that kind of thing. Olivia de Havilland allegedly doing her own makeup. With animals. Just pastimes. Guitar. Citadel is the name of that game, apparently. Bicycling. Here they are with their stand-ins. Carmen Miranda and her stand-in playing cards. And Joan Crawford and her stand-in knitting or crocheting. And so on. And that's the end. I just really like this book. Like I said, the text is nice and sassy. The photos are fun to look at. And it's just kind of, I like the way they organized it. It's a fun book. So if you enjoyed this video, you can check out other people's Flip Through Fridays just by using the hashtag. And if you like this particular Flip Through Friday, please like, comment, share, subscribe, or don't. I'm not the boss of you, and I hope you have a good day or night.